Starting off with the ending of the game, huh? That's how we're gonna do this one? Anyway, boys and girls, this is Halo Reach. Yes, a game that I feel is one of the most overrated titles of all time. Now, does that mean that this is a bad game? Absolutely not. This is the Dark Souls 2 of the Halo series, in my opinion. Is it a bad game? Absolutely not. It is fantastic, just like Dark Souls 2 is considered really good. It just doesn't hold up as good as the other entries in the series. In my opinion, this is only better than one other Halo campaign, and that's Halo 5, because Halo 5 is like running a cheese grater over your nutsack, or if you're a woman, just sanding those lips down to nothing. But the way we're going to do this whole scenario is I'm going to go through the story of the game like I do with most games, and I'm going to run some of my critiques along the way, along with some of my above average commentary, and probably a lot of me saying the word clit, probably way more than anybody should say that word. But the way the game starts out is you are a new member to Noble Team. You're a Noble 6. You never get a real name. It kind of bounces this thing where your main character does talk, like in the other Halo games when you're Master Chief, but it's a self-insert character. Considered by some to be the best self-insert character in the entire series, even over Nathan Fillion in Halo ODST or Master Chief. My opinion on it is I feel like the character plays way too flat. To be honest, the last time I played this game, I didn't even remember him speaking. I jumped back into this game and I'm like, holy shit, Noble 6 speaks? That's how unremarkable the lines of dialogue he reads are. Now compare that to Master Chief, where yes, he doesn't talk a whole bunch, but when he says something, it's meaningful. I just felt like that's a very different comparison. Now, that is an argument that can be made where some people are like, well, I can insert myself more into that if the character doesn't speak. Like, cool, that is your opinion to have, but that is not the way I felt with the main character of this game. I felt like a part of me was Master Chief in Halo 1 and 2, and in this game, the only reason I feel like it's my character is every cutscene I can see what my Spartan looks like, and I have like a skull with a crown, and that is sick. That is something that I wish would have carried on to future Halos. When you play the campaign, you look like you're Spartan in multiplayer. I think that's sick. I think that was a great idea. I don't know why Halo did away with it. Come on, 343, get your heads out of your dicks and let's get some shit together, or your heads out of your clits. Even though preferably I would always like to have my head in a clit. But my biggest next gripe coming in right at the beginning of this game is I feel like there's a lot of the magic lost on the planet of Reach, and it's understandable for the type of tone they're trying to set for this game. I get it. It's not like I'm obtuse. I understand that they're trying to go for more of a solemn, this is where the war began, because the whole beginning of the story is you're joining Noble 6, like I said a little bit ago, and you're on Reach to squash a rebellion. You got some dirty freaking hippies deciding that they don't like the government, and we got to squash them. Well, aliens show up, which turns this from a squash a rebellion to a full-on invasion imminent type situation, which I think is a very, very interesting premise. My problem with this is the way they started the game in these little farm villages. You're basically looking for some good old boys with guns, and all of a sudden now you have aliens, and I'm like, okay, the potential's here, but I feel like you waste way too much time in these boring ass landscapes. The problem with these landscapes is compared to other Halo games, I don't feel they bring much to the table. I look at Reach as this dull, like, landscape, and anytime you feel like it gets kind of better, you go back to jumping around hills, and it doesn't really add anything to the series. It doesn't really have anything that memorable. I think that the combat sections are fun because they're Halo, and Halo's gameplay slaps all sorts of clip, but at the end of the day, I don't see this as the first time I get onto the ring in Halo 1. This isn't as good as or even the first level in Halo 1. When that ship's getting attacked, you feel the impact. This first area, it just feels like kind of a run and gun situation. It doesn't feel impactful like every other Halo game. I mean, the first two Halos getting attacked on the ships were awesome, each one adding their own flair to the situation, though they were very similar beginnings, and even this is a similar beginning to Halo 1 and 2. You're getting attacked only on a planet this time instead of on a ship. I feel like the other two Halo games handled it much better. And I think it really comes down to how dull this environment looks. I mean, just look at the shit I'm looking at. It's just like Skyrim backgrounds, which a lot of games of this time period had that problem with. I mean, even Halo 3, to a certain extent, looks way more dull than Halo 2 ever did. And to me, it's just like, I look at this game and I've heard people say that this is the best Halo, that all the other Halos don't hold up. And story-wise, I think this game rivals Halo 2's story. I think that this game has a very, very, very remarkable story. I mean, nipple hardening, penis enlarging, toe hair growing, great story. But it's the gameplay in between, in the environments in between these, the vehicle for producing the story into your mouth that I didn't find as interesting. I don't find the environmental storytelling that great throughout most of this game. I feel like it's a lot of set pieces, and the great moments you do get, I feel, are squandered by these set pieces and these narrative tools are trying to force down your gullet. I mean, and when you do get the character development for these characters, I think most of them are very, very well done. One of them in particular is George right here. You find out he's a big guy with a big heart, and he grew up on Reach. He always, he doesn't always feel like a Spartan because he will always feel at home here. I don't know. I think he's a phenomenal character. I think that he's the type of guy that wouldn't beat the pussy up, but he would lay it down softly, and I appreciate that for how big he is, because he could just destroy a vagina, destroy the old vagine. But basically what you're finding out is the Covenant is here, and they're looking for something, and they're destroying everything in their path. And you feel like at first in this game, even though it's kind of still has this overwhelming feeling of dread going on and unpredictability, you feel like you have a chance to succeed. It still has some of that glimmer of Halo hope. And if you don't know what I mean by Halo hope, it's every single Halo game except for this one gives you, the whole campaign just kind of like pushes toward this idea of hope. I mean, even the ship's called, like, Hope. One of the ships is called Hope. It's just, like, something that the Halo games in the past have always pushed for. And this game takes the opposite take, which I think paid off narratively. I think it paid off really, really well. When I look at this campaign, I will never say that this is a bad story. I mean, throughout the development of this story and what it's trying to manufacture, this sheer dread, fighting against the hope that you have, I think that every narrative point hits that on the nose perfectly. I think the vehicle from getting you from point A to point B in this storytelling isn't as good and doesn't feel fully fledged out the way a lot of people pretend that it does. And when I say pretend that it does, I fully mean that people pretend that this game had, like, the best level design at times compared to the other Halos, which is just blatantly wrong. The people pretend that this game is like this shiny temple on top of a hill of Halo games, and I just cannot see that. I look at this game and I see a lot of the doublespeak that people have when it comes to games like Halo 4. Well, Halo, you added sprint to Halo, that's shitty. Reach added sprint to Halo, and you guys jerked the fuck off about it. Oh, well, it was a power that you added to your armor, and 4 just gave it to you freely. And I'm like, yeah, but it made the use of adding in other powers and other mechanisms to your armor actually feel better, feel more modern, and that's what they were doing with Halo Reach as well. I mean, people complain that the modern 343 Halos are bad because they didn't. They've taken away, like, dual wielding. Reach took away dual wielding, and they're like, well, Reach was a prequel, so of course it made sense that they didn't have dual wielding. Well, at the same time, there's new additions of weapons-wise and mechanically to this game that were never in the other games, so your prequel argument goes out the window. I see a lot of double-speak defenses of this game while still shitting on the modern Halos, and to me, I look at this game as there's a lot of regression in this game, a lot of things that I feel like were unfinished, and they were too rushed in putting this game out. Now, that does not mean I'm calling this game an unfinished product, because I think what they put out was finished, was polished, it was feature complete, which is something you do not see with most of 343's Halos. This was a feature complete, fully vamped out campaign. I do think, though, throughout this campaign, you can see the moments where they were, like, adding and trying stuff, and then not fully, like, capitalizing on those ideas. I mean, you look at like some of these levels, some of the best levels in the game, like this one right here. This is one of my favorite levels in the game, and I feel like if they would have really decided to keep this game inside the city limits, we would have had a much better experience, because the best moments happen in the main city of Reach. I feel like all the best maps that came from this game all had to do with the city of Reach. I feel like the best environmental storytelling again came from the cities of Reach, because when you go back to the countryside, it really doesn't feel like that much changes. Oh, there's new alien technology there. Well, I mean, does that really show the devastation to the land? Oh, well, you're pulling up on a new area and it's got like ships rolling in. Does that really change that much of the landscape? Absolutely not. I mean, you look at this invasion and you see the damage being done in the city limits. Why didn't we spend more time in the city limits? Every time I go back to the countryside in this game, I have that thought. I'm like inverting my erection at this point. I mean, just look at this moment right here where I'm shooting these fucking phantoms out of the sky. It's cool. You can see the destruction that has been caused on this environment. You see the terror moving in with the big Covenant warship pulling in on your landscape. Everything feels cool. This is the type of invasion I want to see. But to me, when I look at this, I'm like, this is what Halo 2 was like starting, the idea starting out when you go back to Earth and see the devastation that's happening on Earth. You're like, oh shit, shit's getting real. And same here on Reach. I feel these moments of dread in the city. When the ship's like pulling out, and I see that they're like, we have a way to win this war. We can blast them down, and you see the ship go down. It's like, oh, we might be losing now, but there's hope. And when you talk to Halsey for the first time in this game, I feel like when the narrative changes from, oh, we're just getting invaded, to they're looking for me. I'm the reason they're here. And they're like, well, we don't take orders from you. We need to try to save Reach. And she has this mentality of Reach is only a secondary thing that we need to worry about. There's a main reason we're here. And it weeds in the little storytelling on how this is going to connect to the main Halo universe, which I love. This type of stuff is what I was eating up. How does this lead to where we're at now? How does this add extra context to the Halo story that we're already accustomed with? And I love the way the narrative kind of twists in that direction, because I can gush over this narrative all day. I think that this game does a really good job with the storytelling and how it expands on the already built Halo lore, only to instantly go on to like a nighttime recon mission, which you see almost in every Halo game. But again, I think this is one of the worst in the previous set Halo universe. I mean, I'm sure that if I play Halo 5, we can find an example of there being a worse level than this, but I felt like this level was too short. I felt like you really don't get that much cool moments like you got in like Halo 1's level compared to this. I just felt like this is a step backwards, a step in the wrong direction, because again, the biggest enemy of this game is the environmental countryside of Reach. I don't find it interesting. I don't think it's that good of a spectacle. I find it quite boring. I mean, on the reverse side, I can look back at Halo 1 and say, wow, they took the night level on Halo 1 feels like its own thing. It feels like a different biome. And then I look at this game where I'm fighting the same circular bases that I fought in the first 3 levels. I'm fighting him again, only it's dark outside. And to me, that felt like a backstep. And what makes it worse is there's a point in this night mission where you're going around and you see these giant monsters, and somebody from your crew tells you, oh, these are like a native species to Reach, and they're like a hybrid of a brute and a deathclaw. And I'm like, these are sick. This is one of the coolest moments in Reach. Throughout all of these countryside levels where you're on the grassy areas, I get to fight this new enemy that has never been seen in Halo before. And the worst part, the thing that makes this even worse, is you do not see these again in the entire campaign. And to me, that rings that this game had a bunch of great ideas and had something bigger in mind, and we never got to see that. It's it sucks. I mean, why would you go out through all this time to build a creature like this that is interesting, that could have been dynamic throughout the entire campaign? I mean, I even look at some of the later levels, which we'll get to, but I just think, wow, wouldn't it have been cool instead of just throwing in more enemies and making the last leg of this game such a tedious slog, to have like, oh, well, we got this invasion happening, and then a bunch of these monsters show up, and they're fighting the Covenant, and you get these cool, like, enemies fighting enemies moments. You just don't get that in this game. And in the other Halo games, you get that a lot more. I mean, you look at Halo 2, you got the brutes fighting the Covenant. Halo 1, you have these big war scenes, and then eventually the Covenant's fighting the Flood. In Halo 3, you have all three just pitted up against each other, and it's just these big moments. In this game, you never get anything like that, other than this one singular moment. I mean, to see this one cool moment that could have been something diverse that could have happened throughout this campaign to be a one-off, just feels like kind of a cop-out to me. It feels sloppy. I don't know. I remember the first time I played this game, and I went back into this game trying to be fully going to give this game every opportunity. And there's a lot of things that in my original take on this game that I did change. I felt like the characters ran a little flat in my first playthrough, and in this playthrough, I grew to love the characters much, much more. I mean, especially the baddie Spartan with the thick ass. Oh, God. But, like, even this moment here where you're pulling up and you're seeing the dread, like, you've seen that skyline, like, it just, it's depressing, it's grimy. And the first time I played this game, I was like, oh, aliens are invading. I mean, we've been seeing this for fucking 4 other Halo campaigns at this point. Whatever. But this time I actually looked at it through the lens of the narrative vehicle that this game's trying to be, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And when you see, like, oh, well, they've actually put bases on the world, you get this pan out of a whole army pushing onto this zone, and I'm like, this is what I'm here for. This is some, like, serious Sam energy that this game's bringing in, like, full frontal invasion crap that I was like, okay, I've played enough games that have tried this, and I think that this is cool. I like the spectacle of this. I mean, you don't see this a ton in the Halo campaign, so to see something like at this scale and this, like, this glimmer of hope that we're going in to kick ass, I think is badass, only to have it feel like it falls flat on its face, and you see the griminess of war. This is Halo's storming Normandy moment. This is Halo's Normandy, and it feels like Halo's Normandy. And when you wreck, and you just get pulled out of the Jeep, and you have a grenade launcher, and you just see the explosions around you, this is what I wanted the whole game to be. And like I said, there's moments of it, but once you get out of the RV, I mean the Warthog, you kind of go back. Even though you have a grenade launcher, the grenade launcher is okay. Once you learn how to use it, it gets a lot better. But the first time I used this bitch, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's a worse version of the Covenant grenade launcher that I got in Halo 3. Once you get to use this gun a little bit more, I do start to enjoy this gun a little bit. And when the gameplay you're seeing here, I was kind of messing around with it, seeing how it worked a little bit better. But as you can see, I finally figured out the bounce. Grenade launchers have never been my favorite gun to use in most FPS games. I like the ones where it'll explode on impact, where you can use it as a bounce grenade or you can explode it on impact. I do like those, but this game, it was okay. Another downside of this game is kind of a downside when you're playing any Halo game by yourself, is letting the AI drive. Oh my god, look how stupid this stupid son of a bitch is. At one point, I was stuck. As you can see, I can't kill everything because he's stuck on the side of the mountain. This section right here where I was stuck felt like the first time I got a blowjob, and the chick had braces, and I got caught on her braces, and it was super uncomfortable moment. One of the weirdest moments of my life. Just had and she was trying to talk to me, like, I'm like, I can't help you. I can't see what's going on because it's the bottom of the shaft that's caught, and I ended up having to just pop that bitch off. But yeah, I mean, the AI in Halo's never been like overly smart. I mean, the reason you don't have AI at the beginning of Halo 1 when you land on the ring is because the AI was so stupid that they kept trying to jump off the bridge. That's something that recently has been discovered. I think it's hilarious that is one of the main reasons you start the game off by yourself. It's little stuff like that. Another new addition to this game is this one right here. I just wanted to show off. I hate that Halo Infinite does not have this gun. I also hate that this game does not have the Covenant carbine rifle. I think that a lot of people like try to throw shade on modern Halo, like, because, oh, well, 343 started phasing out old guns. Halo Reach phased out one of the best, most iconic guns in the Halo series. And yeah, we get the needle rifle, which I do love, but I still like the carbine. I have more of a soft spot in my penis for that, or the soft spot in the back of my head is always going to be marked with a carbine rifle because I love that thing. And one of the new additions they added is like this rocket launcher thing, this kind of like the alien Spartan laser, only it's like much weaker, but also more powerful if you get all 4 orbs locked onto them. I like this gun. I didn't use it a ton. It doesn't give you it a ton in the game, but I mean, I used it more on regular enemies because it was kind of fun just loading up one charge and then blasting it. The thing that I want to highlight in this game is some of the on-rails sequences in this game are really, really cool. I mean, this one where I'm in a helicopter here pushing forward toward one of these blue domes you can see in the background. I had so much fun firing this like grenade launcher. I mean, this is where I truly learned how to use the grenade launcher that would help me beneficially into the later levels. I really, really liked this section. I like bouncing grenades into people. I do feel like the moment could have been elongated just a little bit because this mission seems to leave it or live in a real quick blink. I mean, one moment you're destroying stuff, and I felt like this moment could have kept going. I could have stretched it out just a little bit. I really was having a lot of fun, and then I'm already on the dome, you know? And the dome thing was cool. You mainly just ride an elevator up to the top to blow it up and then jump back onto the helicopter for another cinematic moment. Again, another issue I have with this game is anything that was really, really cool I felt in this game was over in a blimp. I mean, I ran through this mission so fast that I didn't even get to save footage for it. And I thought about going back in, but I felt like me not showing it and just seeing me jump back on the helicopter and leave is kind of how much of a blip this section was. I mean, it never fully... I don't know. A lot of this game feels like it's very, very short. It feels like it needed to be extended. And almost every instance of a cool thing that happens in this game felt like it needed more levity, needed more time to breathe. I mean, this is like a sloppy deep throw, man. The bitch is just gagging for air while she takes that dick. Or guy, if you're into that gay shit. But, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Be you. Be whatever you want to be. Suck on whatever you want to suck on. Another thing I want to highlight with this cutscene, as you see this ship going down in the background, almost every single thing you do in this game is pointless. I mean, yes, I understand that that's to build this greater story, which, again, I am not arguing isn't amazing. But I have to say, and wait, oh god, is she thick? This chick was such a baddie. But every plan these guys hatch, every single thing you go through in this game is completely pointless. Nothing really matters. I mean, there's only one thing in this entire game that is a success, and we'll get to that. But I just wanted to highlight that almost every single mission I have carried out at this point. I mean, we didn't squash the rebellion because an alien invasion squashed the rebellion. So our initial goal in this game, fucking worthless. Then, oh, okay, we need to stop these turrets. Well, we go to stop the turrets, we stop them, but then that fails because there's a bigger invasion already imminent. Okay, we have this full frontal assault so that we can end these like towers hubs that the Covenant show up. We destroy one only to have the ship that was going to destroy the rest get blown up. I mean, it's just right here you can see just the full obliteration of the world that's going on, and it's just hopeless. It's depressing, and we're pushing forward here because we decided we're going to take the fight to them. It's iconic Halo bullshit. We're taking the fight to them, and I was really kind of like hyped in this area because this was like something that, again, I thought was really cool. The world's falling in. I got my gameplay on lock. I'm doing my bounce shooting. I'm popping heads, which I don't play any Halo game after I played it the first time without the exploding confetti heads. Grunt Birthday Party is the greatest thing ever in a game. I wish Call of Duty would add that so you could go back and replay no Russian and just everybody's heads popping with confetti. I think that would be hilarious. You go through this whole area just to get over to a spaceship because, like I said, you're bringing the fight to them and it's time to do it. And I have to say that this is one of my favorite extended sections in this whole game. Now, I do love the cityscapes. Every time you're in the cityscapes, I like it, but I felt like this part here for a while is where the game really turned around for me, where I went from just playing it to see the story to I was excited to play the game. And once this shit, like this whole cinematic here where you're loading up into this spaceship and you're about to lift off, I mean, like Lance Armstrong's dick, I mean Neil Armstrong's dick, is flying off into space. I mean, they're related, right? Probably not, who cares? Lance has got a silver ball, so a silver ball is a circle. Halo, look at me making connections all over the place. But you blast off into the atmosphere, and I loved this. The first time I played this game, I was excited to see where this was going. I mean, I figured I was just gonna go land on a plane. I did not expect this dogfight section. I love this dogfight section. On the harder difficulties, it can be a slog to get through, but it's just so cool. It was trying something new. It plays about as long as it should play. It never really feels like it outlives its welcome too long. I mean, they probably could have cut one of the waves and it's still been just as wonderful of a mission. I feel like this is the one place in this game where they tried something, they stuck with it, and I appreciate them for it. I thought the mechanics were well made. I love this section, and I'm not even big on dogfight type games. I felt like the controls usually will fight me in games where I'm flying a plane. This game, it never did. I had a blast. I mean, this was great. I can't gush on this shit enough. You fucking blow up a bunch of shit in space. Like, it's Halo. This feels very Halo, and the fact that we haven't really gotten this until now was insane, and we haven't really gotten this sense to the same capacity. I feel like there's been moments in Halo 4 that had something like this, but not as cool as this. I loved this. I loved that I'm back on a Alien Covenant ship. I loved the scenery. It was a nice change of pace. This whole area was cool. It was great to jump back into see the blue doors that open, because like this game needed some diversity, because I was sick of seeing that fucking farm and Reach. And I also like what this game is doing narratively here. I mean, we took the fight to them because we think that this is the last chance that we have to stop the invasion on Reach. This is one of their bigger ships. We know that if we take it out, we have a chance of winning this fight. We have made ourselves a makeshift nuclear warhead to bring onto this bitch. And it's just basically setting up to deploy this nuclear warhead. I like this shit. I like what it's doing. I loved the gameplay running around. It was something, it felt like Halo again. That was the biggest problem with most of Reach. When you're on the Reach areas, yeah, you have the Halo enemies, but it doesn't feel like Halo. This felt like Halo. It was one of the best moments to highlight that this was still a Halo game, even though it was diversifying itself so much from the past. It was nice to go back. Not to mention one of the greatest self-sacrifices in all of video game history. This moment where somebody has to manually set off the nuke. I mean, yeah, is it ripping off the movie Armageddon, kind of, but it was great. George gets to save himself, or sacrifice himself for the planet that he loves, thinking that he has stopped the invasion from happening and saving Reach by using this ship to fly into the big mothership. I thought it was cool. I thought it was awesome. None of it matters, though. Absolutely none of it, because the invasion still keeps coming. A whole nother fleet shows up, only to go and prove once again that this noble team has literally failed every mission they've gone to accomplish by succeeding it. It's just, everything is hopeless. It's depressing as shit. I mean, yeah, do I like the game, but I like the story they're trying to push, but at a certain point, it starts to get a little bit, why am I still playing this if everything they do fails? It was one of those things that it was just so depressing, even, like, in terms of, like, Halo. I mean, the previous Halos have set a standard of there's hope in the end. There's always hope in the end. And you feel like you're stopping things as they're popping up as Master Chief. You're stopping nothing in this game. It's just depression. You're just building depression. I do have to say, though, the cinematography, the storytelling is phenomenal in the way that they lay that out. I just, to me, when I look at the other Halo games to this, it's just like, do I want to play a game that makes me feel like I'm happy, or do I want to be depressed all day? Because this game is just fucking depressing all the time. I do have to say, though, when we get back in the city, again, I'm going to say it, this is the best parts of the game. These are the best levels. I love the Covenant ships. I love being in this city. I love that the environmental storytelling here and seeing like these people being all these people dead on the ground, all these civilians, them not knowing how to deal with it. I mean, do I wish that the civilians were fighting a little bit more to add some more like conflict to the scenery? Absolutely. I felt like that is a huge thing lacking in this game is meaningful conflict. I feel like the civilians are just kind of laying down and taking it. Like, why? Why don't you add something to the mix? Maybe like fucking use your thighs a little bit more and gyrate those bitches on the dick and really fucking show that you're here and ready to fuck and fuck hard. I just felt like the civilians here didn't care about their home. They're just laying down and dying, and that sucks. I mean, it's not something. I mean, if the U.S. got invaded right now, you would have like little rebellions fighting up against whoever was invading us. That would just be something that would happen. But I felt like the people here just didn't fucking care. And as much fun as it was to fight the brutes, because for most of this game you only fought the elites, at a point, I go back to that argument that people will make for this game when you don't have dual-wielding weapons. Well, it's a prequel, and Master Chief couldn't hold 2 guns in the first game, and that's why your health is the same as Halo 1's. Then why am I fighting fucking brutes? There were no brutes in the first Halo. That just wasn't a thing yet. So, we're now retrospectively giving this game credit because of it's similar to what they've done in the first Halo, but then overlooking all of the changes that they made in this game to the continuity. I mean, you can't have it both ways, and that's something that I begin to realize when I do go through some of these levels that are just slogs. I mean, yeah, I'll give it credit when credit is due. I loved all those combat areas. I love fighting brutes. But then when I play like this shitty fucking helicopter mission that goes on way too fucking long, that's not fun at all, that has terrible controls, it's like if you were, it's like if like a girl goes to jerk off my dick, and instead of jerking it off, she's just yanking it side to side violently. That's how controlling this fucking thing worked. And it's moments like this where the little continuity errors throughout this game and the arguments that are made for it start to pop up in my head. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense because there's no brutes in Halo 1, so this being a prequel and getting all of that, the excuses made for it, don't make any fucking sense. And that's where, for me, this game kind of builds this double-edged sword. At one moment, it's fantastic. At the other moment, you're flying a fucking helicopter through AIDS-driven chaos that doesn't control well. And it's like, even the moments that you know from the other games, like a tank moment, for example, like, I'm kind of going to bounce around here at the end to just kind of highlight some of my issues. One of the most iconic things you do in any Halo game is tank sections. They're awesome, they're fun, they're dynamic. Not this Halo. You get in the tank, you drive it for 5 seconds, you get out of the tank, you do a thing. The tank gets stuck constantly. That is something that's annoying in this game, and you only drive it once. You drive tanks in the other Halo games like a bunch of times. You have a bunch of really cool moments. This game, you drive it once for like 15 seconds, only to constantly be jumping out of it and not actually utilizing the tank. This is probably the worst tank run in all of the Halo games. At one point I had forgotten to do one of these things, so I had to run back in and refinish blowing it up. No, I didn't forget. I literally just wanted to have fun in the tank. That's right, but the game won't let you do that. You have to, like, destroy these things, run back to the tank, and then the tank section's fucking over, and you move on. And it's just like, this game's constantly at odds with itself. Like, one moment it's doing great environmental storytelling like this. Like, this is one of the best maps to come out of the Halo Reach multiplayer. You saw it earlier where it was all shiny, and now it's all destroyed and grimy. It's moments like this where I'm like, oh, okay, I love this environmental storytelling. This is the stuff that makes it feel like the older Halo games, like going back onto the Pillar of Autumn and seeing that the Flood has just ravaged it. This is where you see the impact of the invasion, like firsthand, seeing everything that has gone shitty, and I loved this, only for the game to bring you back to the farm, which I don't have the farm in the background here. I wanted to let this cutscene play. But it's just like, every time that something cool happens, there's something else that contradicts it. And I feel like this game never got the fair criticism it deserved on a lot of these points. I feel like this game is just put up on this pedestal, and if you dare to talk bad about it, people get all sorts of fucking butthurt about it. Now, I can have these criticisms and still say this game's phenomenal. I do have to say, though, that it had a lot of wasted fucking potential. Like, even this mission, right? Later on, you go down into the core of the Earth, find out there's alien technology, and this ends up becoming your big main mission, is you gotta get the alien technology, which ends up being Cortana, out of this area. And when you first get here, there's this sick biome. It's all snow-covered, and it's big, and like, it's the first moment in the game where you get into an area and it's just wide open. It feels like it's going to give you that environmental freedom that you've been begging for in this fucking game, only to have you go up to a door and wait by the fucking door and or sometimes go wander out to make sure the turrets are running. It wastes this entire fucking area just so that you can fight a wave-based system. It's like fucking Call of Duty Zombies in Halo. I don't know. It just was waste. It was a waste of potential that this area could have had. We could have been going to these different locations, starting up these turrets while the invasion was happening, so that we could buy time. We didn't need to sit in front of the fucking gate the whole time. I don't know. It seemed wasteful. It's like a girl when she's sucking down your dick and she's just like, I don't want to swallow. It's like, well, then what do you want me to do with your seat? Put it on your face? Gross. I mean, think about the cleanup. You want all that shit on you? No. And it's like, I don't want to blast it back up onto me. That's disgusting because I have, like, hair and it'll get in it. I don't want to do that. I got on a tangent. But yeah, it's like, what was the point? What was the point of putting all that effort into this level design only to only use 5% of it? I don't understand. It's this reach thing where you constantly are running into things like this. You meet a new enemy's design only to never see it again. You go into a level that looks like it has all this freedom only to never utilize that freedom. I mean, yeah, is the story fantastic? Right here where you're getting Cortana and seeing Cortana for the first time and understanding why this story is so important to the rest of the Halo lore is fantastic, is wonderful, some of the most peak storytelling in games, but it's the vehicle to get you there. And you don't even get a Warthog run in this game, right? This game ends up doing a fucking four-reeler run that doesn't have any sort of worry with it. I mean, this whole area is just a movement for a set piece. Yeah, there's some stuff that'll fucking snipe you or whatever, you'll get sniped off the Warthog, but most of it's just to see that, oh, the invasion's ramping up, that we need to hurry and get Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn so that they can get out of here so we have a chance at winning this war. Yeah, cool, but not a great Warthog run because we're fucking going slow, and there's literally no dynamic moments where you're, like, jumping over shit, and, like, shit's exploding around you. I mean, yeah, these things are falling down, but it's not, like, causing the road to move, or you just follow the same path. It's like putting lipstick on a piece of shit. That whole area was garbage. And it sucks because, like, there was great storytelling going on before this mission, and I skipped some things to get here because Reach is completely fallen, the city's completely fucking gone, the sexy fucking Spartan chick is just fucking dead, and then your captain kicks you off the plane because he got shot, and he has this grand, beautiful self-sacrifice moment here, and yeah, I forgot to put the death scene of the girl in. But I was, at this point, I just was like, I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this shit. And I figured having 2 of the 3 main deaths in this game were enough. Because, like, this moment, sick as fuck. The way the girl dies, she gets shot, which is super fucked up. And it's, like, super impactful when you see her get blasted in the head. But I felt like that was a moment that would be too hard to translate over to a YouTube video. Because it's a very impactful thing because of the pacing of the scene itself. But yeah, when you see him die, you've already seen everybody die. You know that this shit is just fucking, everything's depressing. Everybody's gonna fucking die. You finally get to the point where you're giving or handing Cortana off, only for aliens to show up again and to seem like you're about to fail this mission too. You don't, luckily. This is the one mission in this entire game that is a success, that does pan out. You stay around to go light up a gun, have another turret section, which we've seen a turret section in this video. It's sick. You see Emil here, he kind of has his self-sacrifice moment. He doesn't actually die here. There's a whole books and stuff about him, so his death doesn't really count. You don't actually see him die here, so I figured it was kind of a given that he doesn't die. If you didn't know that he didn't die here, well, congratulations, I told you something fucking new. But yeah, you basically decide to stay and fight off the invasion so that these guys can escape. And you know that it's going to come down to this final level where you have your final standoff, which is one of the best final levels in all of Halo. It really redeems a lot of the things that I thought were middling in the game. I did really like this ending. I thought it was very impactful. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what this game boils down to. Do I find the story incredibly amazing and impactful? Absolutely. 10 out of 10 story. The gameplay, still 10 out of 10 because it's Halo gameplay. When it comes to level design, you got a fucking 7 out of 10. When it comes to wasted potential in this game, you got a million. There's so much wasted potential in this game. I wish that this game would have actually taken the time it needed to really flesh out the stuff that they added in that felt like it could have been expanded. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on Reach. I think it's a phenomenal game. I'll play it a million more times, but I have my gripes. Catch you later.